Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Lady Black Kaleidoscope Project. Yay! So, today is the second C of the Great Eight Against Hate series. And so, just to recap what the Great Eight are. So, upside down. So, this is my 8 C's of how that are essential in becoming anti-racist and anti-bias. So, once again, there are courage and commitment, consciousness, curiosity, compassion, conversation, creativity, and community. And you need courage and commitment in order to do the rest of these. So today we're going to talk about number 2. Sorry. Commitment! Oh my God, commitment, which a lot of people can be freaked out by that word commitment. So what does commitment mean? Let's look it up in our trusty dictionary thesaurus. Woo! Okay, so commitment. It's a noun. And it means an agreement or a pledge to do something in the future. Some synonyms for it are burden, charge, duty, need, obligation, and responsibility. I think that's a bit of a basic definition. I mean, it is a basic definition, but like I want something a little bit more, so a little bit, juicier or something like that. So you can look up the word commit because that's the base word of commitment. And so there's several meanings, but the 2 meanings that I'm looking at are to carry into action. So synonyms for that would be accomplish, achieve, carry out, compass, do, execute, follow through, fulfill, make, perform. And the second definition of commit that I'm going to use is to pledge or assign to some particular course or use. And synonyms for that are engage, pledge, trough, fun words. So, so when it's talking about commit, an agreement or pledge to do in the future, well, the future is now. So you should start it now. Yes, it's going to be in the future and for the unforeseeable future, but you start the commitment now, from now on, right? Now on, because future's now. Nothing like the present moment, start a commitment. Don't put it off. So, oh my goodness, where is everything? Okay. It was character that got us out of bed, commitment that moved us into action, and discipline that enabled us to follow through. Zig Ziglar. That's a cool name. That's really important. It's interesting because I know in my generation, well, I'm an Xennial, so I'm about a hybrid, but millennials, and then Gen Zers. Commitment is not something that's like a big thing because ever since 9/11, which is when all of us either came of age or were born after, it's been uncertain. Times have been uncertain for over 20 years, so it's hard to commit to things because you never know. There's always these calamities that are coming up, so it's hard to commit. But commitment is a good thing, period. I mean, across the board. You can't commit to everything, but you can always commit to be a better person. You can always commit to be a better person. And being anti-racist and anti-bias is a great commitment to make, and it's a lifelong commitment. That's the thing that needs to be understood. This is a lifelong commitment. So it doesn't matter if you're like 22 or 92. For the rest of your life, however long that may be, you need to be committed to this because this racism has been a problem since like 400 years ago when, we were brought, my ancestors, black people's ancestors, were brought to the Americas. And if you really want to go far back, go to 1492, which was like 528 years, 28 years ago, when the whole colonialism thing got started, with the slavery got started. So we have all this time that this has been in existence. So it's going to take the commitment, as many people to the entire world as possible, to overcome all these biases and racism and colonialism and stuff, the legacies of these things, the legacy of slavery, the legacy of that, of European expansion and colonialism to all over the world. It's not just the Americas, but all over the world. That legacy that we're still dealing with now, that we're still grappling with now in this country, with how the native peoples were just genocide, flat out genocide, and then just African slaves coming over against our will to here, and then of the legacies of that. So it's going to take character, commitment, and discipline to get through that. And I know that these are not values of our generation because of what I said before, but we're going to need these values. And it doesn't matter. Young people, old people, it doesn't matter. Like I'm Aunt Auntie Maxine, Congresswoman Maxine Waters from California, who's been a congresswoman since like the 90s or 80s. She said herself, she's like, I'm energized by millennials and young people because they inspire me to keep the work that she's been doing, going on. So, it doesn't matter. Young people, like, this is a commitment. I know that, life seems like, hopefully we'll live a long time, but, you need to be committed to this. And older people, don't think, oh, well, I don't need to. You can always change. I mean, Jane Fonda, she talked about on Don Lemon, she was saying how she, after the 2016 election, she read books, and she's been doing a lot of reading over the last 3-4 years to really educate herself about the racial conditions and the things like that. I mean, she's been a social activist her entire life. I mean, for a very, very long time, and she's in her 80s. So, and she still feels like, okay, I've done this work all my life, and I'm still trying to grow, and I'm still trying to learn because conditions haven't changed, and you can always improve. As long as there's life, there's hope, and there's always something you can do. There's always, whether it's little or big, there's always something you can do as long as you're alive. As long as you're here, there's a reason that you're here. So you need to use the air that you're breathing and inhaling and exhaling wisely. Valued companionships begin with a personal commitment to be an exemplary companion. Joseph B. Worthland. Okay. So I'm big about interracial friendships because that's basically, for the most part, the type of friendships I've had, and and interracial relationships in general. So, a lot of white people use, the excuse, particularly when it comes to racism, use us as like a badge, like, or, she'll like, oh, I'm not racist because I have black friends. Ask yourself, really, like, let me tell you something. I was reading something that Stacey Abrams was saying, and she was talking about, she's like, I'm a giving, loving person. They consider me their friend, but I don't necessarily consider them mine, but I'm still going to give because that's the type of person I am. So just really think about, are those black friends that you call so you don't have to be a racist? Are they really your friends? Do you treat them? Are committed to them as much as you are to your white friends? I don't know. Probably not. Maybe you are, I don't know. But I know that 75% of white people in this country claim that they only have white friends, and that the average white person has 91% of their friends being white. So even if you have a black friend, if you're close to them, it might be 1 or 2 people of color, maybe not just black, but 1 or 2 people of color. So, and recognize that, like, we might not consider you our friends. You might just be an acquaintance or someone that you know. I know for myself, a lot of my relationships up until I was 30 because I have taken a 7-year sabbatical from having, a moratorium. I've had a moratorium white friends because I've been hurt by them so much. So a lot of my relationships, not all my white relationships, but a lot of my white friends, it's been uneven. I've been given so much more than they have given me. Now, some of them have, realized some of the errors of their ways, and they've kind of come back. I'm not a perfect friend. And some people might be like, oh, well, this happens. This is friendship, You have ups and downs. There are times when it's uneven. There are times when it's like that. Yeah, but when it's an interracial friendship, interracial relationship, there's an added dimension to it because of race. And that's something you need to recognize. So if you want to be a good friend across the board, whether it's the person is of the same race as you or not, like, you have to be committed. And especially if you want to have interracial friendships, you have to be committed to anti-racist, like being an anti-racist and an anti-biased person. You have to really work on that. That's a commitment that you have to make within yourself, but it's also a commitment you need to make to your friends, your Black friends or people of color friends. If you really, because, I know for me, what has happened since, the whole protests and George Floyd and all that stuff, it's caused me to be like, wait, like, I need to have higher standards in the type of things that the type of white people that I let into my life. I believe in interracial friendship, but I'm not going to just allow anybody to just treat me the way, get to me whenever, love. When someone says, I think, a lot of people say that love is an overused word. I think friend is an overused word as well. And so love and friendship, they are sentiments. Of course, you can have bonhomie, you can have good feelings towards a person. But it also takes commitment. You need to have sentiment and commitment. That's what makes it work. A friendship, a romantic relationship, you can't just have sentiment. You have to have action. Love is a verb. Friendship is a verb. You have to do stuff. So if you really want to have those real friendships, because I think interracial friendships are great. They're a great way to teach things. That's what you can do. Okay? So just make sure that you're really, really committed and you're willing to do the work with that friend, and make sure that it's an even relationship and that it's not uneven. Because I think interracial friendship is a great way to solve these, to really be a solve in healing the racial tensions. Finally, with the quotes. There has to be a social commitment, a social consciousness that joins men together. On the basis of their coming together, they do not transgress against themselves, and they do not transgress against others. H. Rap Brown. Okay, so the thing that white people, they need to realize, Black and people of color, other people of color, Indigenous, Asian, Latinx, like, multiracials, we're gonna keep on fighting for racial justice, whether you join us or not. We're gonna keep on doing it because we're committed, because this is our lives, this is affecting us. But if you really want to be a true ally, true friend, there's a difference between an ally and a friend, which I'm going to talk about in another episode. But you have to join us. You have to really be committed. This has to be a lifelong commitment. This has to be lifelong work. It's hard, but it's worth it. So you really have to, but we're going to keep on fighting, because we've been doing this for 400 years, and we're going to keep on doing it. We've always had the help of white allies, but they were the ones who were able to really make that commitment. And unfortunately, throughout time, it's been far and few between. The majority of white people are not really fully invested. Of course, we want all white people to be fully invested, but that's unrealistic. But the more that we get who are fully invested and really want to be there and really walk with us, that's great. There are definitely white people who have given their lives for racial justice. In Mississippi in 1964, there were 3 voting rights workers, 2 white and 1 Black, who got killed. And they were working together, they were getting along, but they got killed. And unfortunately, because of the segregation, the 2 white guys and the Black guy were not buried in the same cemetery, even though they worked together because of segregation. That's messed up. So person who I think exemplifies this type of commitment to anti-racism is Jane Elliott. Jane Elliott is a 86-year-old badass woman, white woman, who has been committed to anti-racism, anti-bias way of life ever since April 5th, 1968, the day after MLK got shot. You can Google more about her, but just basically, long story short, she was the day after, kids were like wondering, why did MLK get shot? And so she came up with this concept of the blue-eyed, brown-eyed experiment, because she was in Riceville, Iowa, so small town Iowa, all white town, probably still is at this point. And she did this experiment where she had the brown-eyed, at first she had the brown-eyed kids, who she made them the superior race, and then the blue-eyed kids were the inferior race. And so she gave the brown-eyed kids preferential treatment, and the blue-eyed kids, and she did various things, like the brown-eyed kids sit in the back, the blue-eyed kids sat in the brown-eyed kids sat in the front, and the blue-eyed kids sat in the back, and just various things that she was doing. So, and then it resulted in a lot of psychological things with the kids. The brown-eyed kids felt all arrogant and superior and stuff, and the blue-eyed kids were all timid. Even if these blue-eyed kids were dominant before, they still felt like that. So there's that. And then so then she switched places. Like, she did that for a week, and then she switched places. And the blue-eyed kids were the dominant, and the brown-eyed kids were not. So, and then, but the way the blue-eyed kids treated the brown-eyed kids were, it was a little less intense. So then, halfway through the week, she's like, okay, we're going to stop. We're going to debrief. So she debriefed with them. And and then she published the children's responses in the newspaper, which was picked up by Associated Press, which led her to being on the Late Night with Johnny Carson. And then after that, her whole world changed. I mean, her whole world changed since that day, but she had to leave the school. She lost all her friends. Her parents lost her business. The kids were bullied. Her kids were bullied. Everything, her whole world changed. But she, even though she said on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon that if she knew that it was going to be this hoopla and this negative feedback, she probably wouldn't have done it. But she made her bed and she slept in it, and she has been committed to anti-racist training and education ever since. And the woman, so she's been doing this for over 50 years. So she has committed her life to being anti-racist, and that's incredible. But it did cost her a lot. Now, hopefully it might cost you your job. It might definitely, as I said last time, that it will cost you friends. It probably will cost you friends, being fully committed. So being prepared for that. But it is worth it. It's absolutely worth it, because it's making you a better person. Who doesn't want to be a better person? Everybody wants to live their best life. Well, being anti-racist, anti-bias is the best way to do it. And I think she is living her best life. It's cost her a lot of things, but she's gained so much as well. And I think that's a great lesson to learn. So finally, I'm going to end with a poem called See It Through by Edgar Guess. When you're up against trouble, meet it squarely, face to face. Lift your chin and set your shoulders. Plant your feet and take a brace. When it's vain to try and dodge it, do the best that you can do. You may fail, but you may conquer. See it through. Black may be the clouds about you, and your future may seem grim, but don't let your nerve desert you. Keep yourself in fighting trim. If the worst is bound to happen, spite of all that you can do, running from it, it will not save you. See it through. Even hope may seem futile, when with troubles you're beset. But remember, you are facing just what other men have met. You may fail, but all still fighting. Don't give up, whatever you do. Eyes front, head high, to the finish, see it through. So, making this commitment, you're not alone. There are lots of people who are making this commitment. Black people, people of color, we've made this commitment. We're fighting all our lives because we want equality. We want equity. We don't want revenge. We want equality, equity, and compassion. That's what we want. That's what we want. Be treated with dignity and respect. So you're joining a cool crew of people. You're not alone in making that commitment. If you're a white person, you're not alone. There are other white people who are doing it and who are joining it. But it is a worthwhile commitment. It's a worthwhile commitment. So remember to do that. And just remember that. Like, you're not alone in doing this. You might feel alone. Thanks to social media, you can connect with so many people. So don't feel alone in doing this. You might feel that way, but know that this is worth it. It is absolutely worth it because it makes you a better person. So remember, keep on keeping on, live out loud, and embrace your kaleidoscope soul. Bye, everyone. Till tomorrow, the next episode.